Good evening, everyone. Good evening. What did I say? Yeah. All right. Oh, thank you. Nobody ever responded to me before, so I was like, what was that? All right. I will call this Tiger City Council meeting to order. Deputy City Recorder Bartholomew, please conduct a roll call.
Council President Wolf.
Here.
Youth Councilor Hellick. Councilor Gadusi.
Present.
Mayor Hu.
Here.
Councilor Robbins.
Here.
Councilor Schlack.
Here.
Councilor Shaw. Here.
And youth counselor is just walking in. So, all right. Would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right. Council and staff, do you have any non-agenda items tonight?
None from us, Mayor.
All right. Seeing none, let's move on to public comments. Public comment is the opportunity for us to receive feedback, and it's not a dialogue. When you present your public comment, we will address the issue later on. So if you want to provide public comments, the calling number is 503-966-4101, and those wishing to comment should call now to get into the queue. Anyone present wanting to comment should sign up on the public comment form at the front of the room. We received 2 written public comment by Monday deadline yesterday, both about councilor appointment. So next, let's move on to in-person public comments. We have 2 people sign up, and each of them, when I call your name, please come forward and state your name and the city you live in, and after that, you have 2 minutes, and the timer's on the screen. So the first person I would like to invite up is Elise Scher. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. How are you? I'm here to speak in support of Gabe Velasquez as a candidate for the vacant council seat. I've known him for 4 years and have found him to be thoughtful, personable, energetic, and resourceful. As you see, he knows how to rally the troops. He would be a fine addition to the Tigard City Council with his background and dedication, and I hope he gets your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next person. Oh, Bob. Bob Thompson.
It's okay, Mayor.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, hi, Bob. I know you. Just can't read your handwriting. I apologize.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
I'm also here to support Gabe.
Oh, your microphone is not on, so please state your name.
There we go.
And, yeah,
I'm also here to support Gabe, and I've worked with him now for about 3 years on the TCACs. I found him to be very well prepared. I found him to be knowledgeable. He's got a good sense of humor, which is important, I think, in some of these meetings. And I would strongly recommend his appointment to the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else want to speak but have not signed up? All right, so we move on to phone in or video public comment. Mr. Wolt, are there any caller in the queue for phone or video testimony?
Yes, Mayor, there is one caller in the queue, and I'll connect them right now.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Jocelyn Keating. I go by JoJo. I live in Newburgh, but my business is in Tigard, and I'm part of the TSAC, along with Bob and Elise. and I too support everything they said about Gabe and also recommend him to City Council and hope you'll give him serious consideration. And I also want to say I'm wearing red in support of Gabe. You cannot see me, but he can rally the troops even if you can't see them. So thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. All right. Mr. Ward, anybody else?
No other callers, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, so before we move on to the next item, our interim city manager, Trish, have a couple of brief comments.
Great, thank you very much, Mayor, Council, our guests. Good evening. I'm really pleased to share with you that last week we had our tree lighting event at Universal Plaza. It's Tiger's Living Room, and we were glad to welcome about 300 or so guests to join for that event. I'd like to continue the fun by extending the invitation to the menorah lighting on Monday, December 15th at 5 p.m. It will also be at Universal Plaza. You can wear red, blue, whatever color you like. We would just love to see you there. Any opportunity to gather community, especially around the holidays, is a joy for us. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next item on our agenda, which is FEMA update. And I have a statement to read for this item. The FEMA ESA public hearing has been pulled off the December 9th City Council agenda and will be renoticed when future hearings are scheduled. The item is being pulled due to the current state of uncertainty relating to litigation, potential dismantling of FEMA, and delay caused by the government shutdown. Additionally, FEMA is still going through the draft Environmental Impact Statement, DEIS, process that is evaluating the alternatives proposed. The final EIS and record of decision will document the final selection alternative. All right, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda, and I assume that's what everybody is here for. So it is council to interview and consider appointment of new councilors. So just to recap, at the last meeting, council found a pool of 14 qualified candidates. Council decided to invite back 5 candidates back for this evening's interview. And those 5 candidates were Tom Anderson, Al Haddadi, Kay Ristel, Gabriel Velasquez, and Pia Wilson-Body. And over the weekend, Ms. Wilson-Body has chosen to withdraw her application. So now we are left with 4, but still very well qualified candidates. So this is how the interview and appointment process will go. So first, our youth counselor will draw the name of the 4 applicants to determine the order of the interview process. And when it's your turn, please come forward. And the other 3 people, please wait in the lobby. And there will be 8 questions, and 4 of them have already been provided to you in advance, and the other 4 will be surprise. So you have 2 minutes to answer each questions. Afterwards, after all of you being interviewed, I will call you, all 4 of you, please come back, and we will take a brief recess. And then after that, we will start deliberation. And during for the deliberation, there will be 2 rounds. In round 1, I will first ask each council member to share and briefly discuss their top choice, or if they do not have a clear top choice, their top 2. And if a consensus emerges after the discussion, which is at least 4 votes for 1 finalist, I will entertain a motion to appoint. However, if we could not reach a consensus after round 1, we will move on to round 2, which will be a ranked choice voting system. For that round, I will ask each counselor to rank their top 3 choice. Their first choice will receive 3 points. Second choice will receive 2 points, and then number 3 will receive 1 point. And we will tally out the points, and we'll have another discussion after that. But we may not reach round 2. Okay? So any questions? Is that pretty clear? All right, I see nods from everybody. So good. So youth counselor, would you please pick our first person for the interview?
Tom Anderson.
All right. And second person.
Ali Hadidi.
Third person.
Gabriel Velasquez.
And last person.
Kate Ritzau.
All right, so that's the order. So Mr. Anderson, please come forward, and the rest of you, please wait in the lobby. So you go first.
Tom, I'll start the questioning, so just let me know when you're ready to go.
Oh.
Okay?
No. There we go.
Okay.
Yep. Very good. Well, welcome, first
Thank
of all.
you. Uh-huh.
Okay, question number one, and these are the ones prepared in advance,
Yeah.
or provided in advance. Can you provide a specific example that illustrates your commitment to accountability in tracking and evaluating the effectiveness of decisions or policies you've contributed to? And then how did this example enhance trust and accountability within the organization or community that was impacted by those decisions or policies?
Well, for those who don't know, I've been on council previously, and I'll use an example from that council. I spearheaded and promoted the construction excise tax that you have now. Before that, Tigard had no funding for affordable housing, no revenue or no income coming in for the affordable housing bucket. And this was very controversial at the time. Nobody had it, especially in the metro area. Bend was doing something, but they had a different financing mechanism. So we were very torn, but I thought it was very important. So we're essentially adding a tax for all new construction on houses. And of course, the home builders were a little nervous about this, and we wanted to keep the housing affordable, so it kind of, in one respect, defeated our purpose, but on the other hand, we felt like we needed a bucket of money. So after long negotiations with the home builders, we came up with a good plan. It was 1% at the time, and passed the excise tax. And since then, all of our neighbors up here in the north have, I think everybody's got a CET now, and it's provided a lot of good projects that we have funded in the city of Tigard because of that bucket of money. The first 2 years were a little lean as it was building up, but then we had something to actually back up, when we saw a nice project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Tom. I have the second question. And given the current tax burden, responsibilities on Tigard residents, how would you assess the city's fiscal responsibility? And what steps would you take to ensure efficient use of existing funds?
Well, I think you're doing fine. I don't think the city of Tigard's taxes are that much worse than any other city around. You also pay Washington County tax and state tax. So I think the council actually doesn't have that much discretionary spending power after all the main things are paid for, the facilities, the payroll, the CIP, all that stuff. So I think you're fine. I think some of the recent comments about the 4th of July celebration and all that kind of stuff could use some sponsorship. I would be all for that, but really, I think we're doing fine here.
Sorry, I'm taking notes. I have the next question. Tom, Tigard and the surrounding region have grown significantly, while transportation infrastructure has not kept pace. What strategies would you pursue to improve mobility and reduce congestions for all road users?
Well, it's Highway 99. That's the whole problem that we have in Tigard, and
We've got a railroad that runs through. So, I mean, there are problems just geographically with Tigard. When I was on council, you know, they did a few small minor improvements, OutDOT did, with some cutouts and some turn lanes, which helped a lot. They could probably do a little bit more of that. There was a study, I mean, these are all state facilities. So state and county money, Tigard doesn't have enough money to kind of hit these big transportation projects. So there's not a lot of area for the city of Tigard to lobby the state, but this would be one since it's a regional problem. There was a study that was going to be put out on Highway 99 from Sherwood down into Tigard, and that was about $1 million study at the time. It's probably more now. But at the end, that was not funded, and they put some more money towards another urgent project. So I would like to see where that study is. I think it's gathering dust someplace, and I think that we should talk to our state reps and our Washington County commissioners and find out if we can get some money to get that study done, because they said we wouldn't get any more funding until that study was complete. So that would be my question.
All right. Question number 4. How do you understand the role and responsibilities of a council member? And what abilities do you bring that will help you fulfill those roles, responsibilities effectively?
Well, I was a counselor, so I understand the roles. I was a liaison on the Tigard Planning Commission. Of course, I was on the Planning Commission for 7 years and president for a couple of years. I was a liaison to Parks and Rec. I did the social service grants. I was on a water board. Everybody was at that time. I was on the homeless committee, senior city advisory board. So I've done everything. I think you could plug me in pretty much anywhere, and it would be good. Again, I know the job and the rhythm of the job. Kind of the purpose of me being here is kind of being a bridge. Since it's a one-year appointment, it's a pretty short term, and I think all councilors know it takes a little time to ramp up, and I think that you would avoid that if you appointed me, and we could have our goal session in January and move right on from there.
So City Council meets every Tuesday evening for council meetings that last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, longer tonight. Additionally, each councilor is responsible for liaison assignments to boards and committees, as well as asked to attend community events. If appointed to City Council, share with us how you will navigate these added responsibilities to your schedule.
Well, I'm busy myself, and I'm on a few other boards and committees, but I factored that in. I know when to do my homework. I used to do my homework on Sunday evening and be ready for the council meetings. The liaisons, I think it might be a little easier with 7 councilors than it was for 5. But I'm a realtor, and I have a pretty flexible schedule. At this point in my career, I can make my own schedule, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
I get the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Describe how you would advocate for a policy, position, or program when your perspective differs from the majority. How would you collaborate and navigate conflicts? Share an example from your experience and what the impact was of that situation to others. You haven't seen that one yet, and it was kind of long. Do you want me to reread it?
Well, it's a committee, right? So there's always going to be conflicts, and everybody's not going to agree. I state my position, and strongly or not, I would use as much logic and data that I could to back that up. And you don't win them all. Most of the votes tend to be 4-1, 5-1, something like that. So, but I wouldn't have any problems mentioning my stance if it was different than the majority. I wouldn't, you know, what I did learn, it took me a while to learn that you should speak out, everything should be on the record, right? All of your opinions. That's it.
Okay, what is your position on addressing homelessness in Tigard? What approaches do you support for balancing compassionate services with public safety and the expectations of our community?
Well, I was on the very first homeless task force board, and we had a lot of the nonprofits at the time on the board chiming in. At the end of that, the summary was that Tigard really didn't want to be in the homeless business, and we would support the local nonprofits, but we wouldn't facilitate it necessarily. I think that's changed now, and I think the problem is gotten quite a bit worse. I don't really like the tents at Public Works. Again, I think we should support our nonprofits, right? So we got Just Compassion, we've got the Good Neighbor Center, we've got quite a few nonprofits just in this town that are willing to help, and they're getting money from the county as well. So rely on them as much as we can. But homeless is definitely an issue, especially downtown.
Okay, I have the final question. Let's make sure the clock is set. So what are your top funding priorities for the city, and how would you advocate for them?
Top 5 funding priorities?
Your top funding priorities.
It's funding priorities. Well, I think the main thing is to get this bond passed for the police station and the Public Works. I mean, that's number one. I think that's what your year is about, to get that passed, because it's well overdue, and it's a funding mechanism that obviously people don't realize how much work it takes in the background to get these successfully passed. We did when I was on council, we did a public safety levy, and the first one did not pass. And it wasn't that well written after we looked at it, and we had to sharpen our pencil and lower the cost. We came back, and then 2 years later it passed. So lessons learned there. Don't get greedy on your numbers, and just realize that the Tigard citizens are going to be paying for this, but really outline the benefits of really what a top-notch police facility would do for the city and for their, the officers that are here. That's number one. I think that's the only major thing besides what you've been doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Please go away and join the rest of the Canada in the lobby, and we'll call in when it's finished. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll invite Al back in. You go first. It's Al. Good evening. Please take a seat and make yourself comfortable, and Councilperson Wolf will start with the first question. Yeah, please turn on the mic. There we go.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, the first question, we'll start with those that you all received in advance.
Oh, okay.
So the first question is, can you provide a specific example that illustrates your commitment to accountability and tracking and evaluating the effectiveness of decisions or policies that you contributed to? And then the follow-up, how did this example enhance trust and accountability within the organization or community that was impacted by those decisions or policies?
You have the papers, right? Yes, please. That would be great. Thanks again for your time. Appreciate having me here. I'm part of the CC, as some of you might know. And when I became vice chair of this committee in May this year, start talking to people and understand what are the concerns they have. And we have a great committee that are really involved. They are really committed and motivated, but we didn't have a great way to measure our success and to see how we are contributing to city council goals. Right after, I started talking to to our chair and also city staff, and I created this structure that you can see on your first page. We basically were asking our our members to focus on those 4 goals that city councils have, and every time they are bringing any concern and question, we document that and we put a group number assigned to this. Each group assigned to those 4 goals that council have, and also we have a column, we call it status, and we're planning to. We have a target right now. We have 25%. We're planning to close all those concern or question or feedback, getting it resolved or closed by end of this year. And we have a kind of aggressive goal for 2026 to get to the 50% of all those closed. And also to increase accountability, this is the best way that we can do. And if you look at your second page, we put all those concern and feedbacks and questions. We put it in the graph. On the first one, on the left side, you can see how many concerns were raised, assigned to each category. And on the right side, you see the graph that shows how many of those were closed, resolved, or it has not, still sitting, waiting for response. Okay, I guess my time is up.
Thank you, and asking the second question. Given the current tax burden or responsibilities on Tigard residents, how would you assess the city's fiscal responsibility? And what steps would you take to ensure efficient use of existing funds?
Yeah, absolutely. The city of Tigard residents, they are feeling this impact like many other cities in the U.S. And to me, this is a really important topic, even more than previous years. So the steps that I would take, I would look into this current funding and program we have and see if it's working, if there is any, what's working and what is not working. Also, I will look into the internal process, if there is any way that we can maybe remove waste or save more money, and maybe there are some duplicate that we can do. Also, we need to be agile. You know, there's, things are changing every day. We need to be flexible and look at reprioritizing this funding if we need to redo it again, or looking into prioritize all those funding. And also being transparent. I think city has done a pretty good job, like the Regal Cinema on 72nd Avenue. It's a great example that we try to get feedback. We have a website trying to get feedback from residents and see how, make sure they are involved, making the right decision. And also this will, I would say, remove kind of negative reaction later on, because we're gathering all the data, we're making decision based on the data that we are receiving. So it's a really informed decision based on the data we're receiving. So overall, that's what we'll do. All right, thank you.
All right, I'll have the next question. Tiger and the surrounding region have grown significantly, while transportation infrastructure has not kept pace. What strategies would you pursue to improve mobility and reduce congestions for all road users?
I would focus on data decision, kind of target. There are things that I use at my job. I'm a project engineer supervisor, and I have a Green Belt in Six Sigma. We use structured problem solving. One of the things that I would use is a 80-20. Basically, what we say, 80% of the, in this case, congestion and traffic coming from 20% of these problem areas. So we need to focus that. And to do that, we need to gather data. To gather data, I would say we need a task team if we don't have it already. This is something, again, I'm really familiar with. My team is responsible with leading task forces. If there's a problem, quickly we put a team together, we bring people from different departments, and we do structured problem solving, we analyze the data, and we make a decision based on that. So that's what I would do. And also, there's things that we can do. It's technology that we can use. It's like AI and machine learning. These things are not super expensive. It will be much cheaper than building roads, which sometimes is not really efficient. But this AI and machine learning that many cities actually that are dealing with traffic or using can help us to predict the congestion, create a model. Even if we have a solution, we can ask AI to do the model and see if it would be successful or not before even spending too much money and start executing this. And also, again, as I mentioned, I will look into what other cities are doing. You know, as I mentioned, there are quite a few cities that are using AI, like heat map. They're using lots of data that should be not super expensive to gather those data.
All right, thank you. Question number 4. How do you understand the role and responsibilities of a council member? And what abilities do you bring that will help you fulfill those responsibilities effectively?
What I understood, being part of CCE for over 3 years now, setting policies, approving budget, making long-term decisions, like the 4 city goals we have for 2025 and also 2026. And also talking to residents and understand their concern. Obviously, there should be a balance between their concern and also the city long-term goal and decision. Things that I would bring, again, as an engineer and project management, I would bring skills, as I mentioned, like structured problem solving, getting into root causes, and try to understand all the problems and gathering the data. These are the things I can do. I mean, the new technology, AI that we're using at work, or machine learning, as I mentioned. Also, my background, I've been helping our Arab, Persian, Afghan community to celebrate their cultural events, and I've been helping them and also connecting to the city officials. And to me, this is the kind of my strong suit. It's easy for me to talk to people from different background, different culture. When I came to US, I went to international school to improve my language. So I spent over 2 years working with and studying and eating with many people from different countries. And at one time was more than 15 countries, people from 15 different countries. So really easy for me to work with them. And maybe that's why it's really helped me to be leading DEI last year in my department. So, and also being part of the CCE, I'm familiar with all the process and the city goals. So I would say it would be easy for me to quickly pick up, get up to speed, and since it's going to be only 12 months, it would be really challenging. So for me, it would be pretty easier. Thanks.
Thank you.
Of course.
So the city council meets every Tuesday evening for council meetings that last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. Additionally, each councilor is responsible for liaison assignments to boards and committees, as well as asked to attend community events. If appointed to city council, share with us how you will navigate these added responsibilities to your schedule.
I guess I have a good example. Part of the CCE, yes, we only meet every other month. Well, actually, starting January, we're going to start meeting every month, like what we did in the beginning. I was able to manage that. I do have a 4-year-old daughter, but before even applying for this, I talked to my wife to make sure, we can handle this. This is family is really important for all of us. That's the reason I'm here. Because I want to make sure that my daughter raised in and thrive in the good community. So I would say I will be definitely committed, and this is something even I talked to my manager before applying for this to make sure that they understand that this is something that I'm passionate and I would definitely focus on, and they have no problem with this. So did my homework and make sure that I am ready before even I sign up. This is what I do actually in my life too. I make sure that I take those steps. I'm an engineer trying to make sure everything is ready before I execute that.
Describe how you would advocate for a policy, position, or program when your perspective differs from the majority. How would you collaborate and navigate conflicts? Share an example from your experience and what the impact was of that situation to others.
Conflict is part of what I deal every day, I would say. When I put task team together, I have to go all the way to a director or CEO to explain why we're doing this. And there are always people with different opinion, and not saying they are wrong, but they're just having different perspective. So what I do, that's a good example, just a few months ago, I was working on a fuel cell and trucks, and also making it autonomous kind of truck. And there was a project that I was working on. I tried to present this, and there was one gentleman that always, bring in a question. Great question, but I feel like there is more than just, technical question. So at the end of the meeting, I asked him to meet with me, and we start talking. I try to understand what exactly his viewpoint is. And when I understand exactly what his concern is, I try to explain that. I guess I was not really clear. So I try to explain that and get him more involved in the project. So what I explained that, I said, you have a great experience. Maybe you can actually help us to make sure this project will be successful. You need to take actually more responsibility in that. So we find a common ground, and we try to work on the same target because we both want to make sure that our company is going to be successful. If we found a common ground, we work together. I made sure that he's more involved, and at the end, I would say that the project was really successful, and we have a great relationship.
Sorry about that. Okay. Next question. What is your position on addressing homelessness in Tigard? What approaches do you support for balancing compassionate services with public safety and the expectations of our community?
Absolutely. These are the things that we discussed during the CCE. We try to provide feedbacks. We're passionate. We understand the challenges some people have, and we need to understand their situation. Obviously, we need to make an informed decision. Again, gathering data, understand, but also there are some people that have an opposite opinion. We need to also gather those feedback and understand what exactly the concern is. I think at the end, we want to make sure that whoever is in Tigard, they have a roof, they have a safe place to stay. And these are, just to me, this is common sense. We just need to be open, try to listen to, again, even opposite people with a different opinion. And if we can work together, this would be definitely successful. So I would 100% support that. But at the same time, I would work. There are some people that completely have a different position, different opinion. So we need to approach them and understand what their concern is.
And I have the final question.
Perfect.
So what are your top funding priorities for the city, and how would you advocate for them?
Oh, sorry, so can you repeat that one question?
What are your top funding priorities for the city, and how would you advocate for them? How would you spend money? What's your funding priorities?
Again, I'm sure you spend lots of time to come with those 4 city council goals. To me, you identified things that are really important for this city. Housing, facilities, there are 2 more, and also, let me look at my notes. Yeah, they're making the city in a better place. So these are really important. So I think we already identified things that we need to focus on. And again, when we have all those program things that we need to submit funds to, we need to make a data-driven decision. We need to understand what are the priority for the city is. If we need to, again, we need to approach residents and understand what is their top concern is. And again, to me, city has done a great job, and those 4 is our top priority, and we need to spend and put money into those categories.
All right, thank you, Al.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
being
Thanks again
here.
for your time.
Yeah, please join the other in the lobby, and we'll call you back when all of you have been interviewed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let's invite Gabriel Velasquez. Good evening, Gabe.
Hi.
Welcome. Please take a seat, make yourself comfortable. And when you're ready, Councilperson Wolf will have your first question.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, you look ready to go. Okay, Gabe, can you provide, and we'll start with the questions that you all received in advance. Can you provide a specific example that illustrates your commitment to accountability in tracking and evaluating the effectiveness of decisions or policies you've contributed to? How did this example enhance trust and accountability within the organization or community that was impacted by those decisions or policies?
Thank you for the question. As chair of the Tigard Town Center Advisory Commission, one of my tasks is to send out a yearly report that sets out our goals for our 2 tax increment financing districts. Taking direction from City Council earlier this year, we've decided to add an abundance of key performance indicators, or KPIs, that are meant to highlight the 3 main areas the TCAC focuses on: business development, housing, and connectivity in and between the 2 TIF districts. Adding KPIs not only builds trust between the community and the city at large when you are upfront about your objectives, but also it creates accountability for when those KPIs are met or fall short of expectations, as it gives an opportunity to figure out what went right or wrong and what needs to change for the following year. An example, this year, when setting a soft KPI, a KPI that is not fully in the TCAC's control, for more affordable market rate housing within the Tigard Triangle, it was not met. While some only see this as a failure in goal making, I see it as an opportunity to find out why there was an untapped opportunity for affordable market rate housing, which is why I would like to make it easier for developers within our 2 TIF districts to create housing types that have not yet been established within our 2 TIF districts. Thank you.
Get to ask the next question. Given the current tax burden responsibilities on Tigard residents, how would you assess the city's fiscal responsibility, and what steps would you take to ensure efficient use of existing funds?
Tigard is at a crossroads right now. as I know from the October Finance and Revenue Budget Update as I was here. The bad news is the general fund is starting to feel the effects of the volatility in our national economy, and our Parks and Rec budget is greatly outpacing its own revenue growth due to the sharp decline in revenue this year. Luckily, there's a lot of good news too. Tigard's Water Fund, Sewer Fund, and Stormwater Fund have all been keeping pace with expenses. Cities like Tigard are expected to weather the storms when they have been hit through even though major portions of their budget, like the general fund and building fund, are at the mercy of things we do not fully control, including the national economy. What we can control is our homegrown solutions. We can lean into the community of forward-thinking, proud Tigard residents and ask voters to increase the parks fee to bridge the existing funding gap. We need to make sure it is the right time to ask for this, and it's never easy to ask voters for more money. But the only way we can do this is to be accountable and transparent with both our spending and our savings. Thank you.
All right, I have the next question. Tigard and the surrounding region have grown significantly, while transportation infrastructure has not kept pace. What strategies would you pursue to improve mobility and reduce congestion for all road users?
Thank you for the question. We all know state-based transportation funding can be quite volatile. While officials in Salem still fight about the big picture, we wait patiently for the fate of Hall Boulevard. We've got to do something to help people closer to home. What I mean specifically is that I support smarter road design that actually connects our communities, favoring roundabouts over interchanges, keeping traffic moving safer through our streets, reducing the amount of close-together intersections that are major causes of traffic issues, lowering speed limits to keep neighbors safe, increasing visibility to prevent more accidents, separating the bike lanes from the roads itself for both the safety and increasing flow of cars, and supporting the Southwest Corridor. These ideas would be a good start to increase our overall safety when moving through and would make traffic just slightly less chaotic than it already is. Thank you.
Question number 4. How do you understand the role and responsibilities of a council member? And what abilities do you bring that will help you fulfill those responsibilities effectively?
Thank you for the question. I believe the purpose of a counselor is twofold. First and foremost, it is to advocate for your constituents. Your policies and advocacy should be solely focused on immensely improving the lives of your constituents. The second part of the job is to be present within the community, so much so that you can be actively looking for what your constituents want and need before they even ask for your help. A very wise person once told me to not ask people if they need help, but to ask what you can do to help. That small difference removes the stigma some people feel when asking for help. I would like to offer my assistance to the City of Tigard in a more official capacity in that way. My work in politics with bringing people together, hearing every side of the story before I make a decision, and being the spokesperson for those without a voice has primed me for this role. I know how to bring constituents into the conversation, get them engaged, and how to keep their interests top of mind when debating the best possible policy outcome for our great city. Thank you.
City Council meets every Tuesday evening for council meetings that last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. Additionally, each councilor is responsible for liaison assignments to boards and committees, as well as asked to attend community events. If appointed to City Council, share with us how you would navigate these added responsibilities to your schedule.
As I have been regularly attending City Council meetings since getting my new job in healthcare, I have been regularly attending the City Council meetings. As I am also the chair of the Town Center Advisory Commission, I'm also regularly here An additional few committee meetings would not really affect my schedule in the long run. And that was quite a short answer, but thank you.
Describe how you would advocate for a policy, position, or program when your perspective differs from the majority. How would you collaborate and navigate conflicts? Share an example from your experience and what the impact was of that situation to others.
Whew, okay. I may have to ask you to repeat that question halfway through, but let me get through the first part. Actually, could you repeat the question one more time? I do apologize.
That's a long question. So,
Can
describe.
you, Mr. Wu, would you please reset the clock? There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Describe how you would advocate for a policy, position, or program when your perspective differs from the majority. How would you collaborate and navigate conflicts? Share an example from your experience and what the impact was of that situation to others.
I'm going to share my time and experience within Salem. I was both a staffer and a lobbyist back in the day, which feels like decades ago, was like 1 or 2 years ago. During that time, there was a policy position out there that was going to recriminalize drug use, and we were trying to figure out exactly what policy positions could be amended and changed because the option currently available at the time did not have any amendments and was very restrictive. Sharing and trying to find a compromise between the most extreme elements on both sides and finding a middle ground was the best way to bring that bill forward and has near broad bipartisan appeal. And I was working with the legislators on that initiative.
What is your position on addressing homelessness in Tigard? What approaches do you support for balancing compassionate services with public safety and the expectations of our community?
I noticed a common theme when attending city council meetings these recent months, specifically when the issue of homelessness is brought up. It feels like we are leaps and bounds ahead of most of our neighbors when tackling this issue. And when the state hasn't done enough to help us out, being one of the leaders on this movement, and you're absolutely right to feel that we have been leaps ahead in bounds. We need to have more cooperation between our neighboring cities and state, and having a person on city council who has been endorsed last time by city officials in 2 neighboring cities, as well as receiving the endorsements of 4 state representatives, as well as the endorsements of both Senate President and Senate Majority Leader last time in 2024, makes that likelihood a lot more possible to have a more unified encounter to increase our funding for homelessness services and have a more widespread approach to this problem. Thank you for the question.
All right, I have the final question for you. What are your top funding priorities for the city, and how would you advocate for them? So how would you spend the city's money, basically?
I did kind of already answer this question, so I do apologize, but talking about Parks budget, specifically, that is the one where we probably will need to ask voters in 2026 to increase our Parks funding, as that is the one where our budget has the biggest gap right now. Pardon me. That is where we're going to have the biggest issues with our budget deficit, and finding ways to increase our funding will be much more likely to produce a positive result. And I do apologize for answering that question quickly.
No need to apologize. These 4 questions, you do not have them ahead of time. So, yeah, so that's all. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you very
for being
much.
here.
And
So please join the other 3 candidates in the lobby, and we'll call you back when the last person is done. So
thank you, and it is an honor to be just considered.
Thank you. So let's invite Kate. Oh, there she is. Hello, Kate. Please take a seat, make yourself comfortable, and turn on the microphone. And when you are ready, Council President Wolf will have her first question for you.
Thank you. You look like you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
So we'll start with the questions that you received in advance. Can you provide a specific example that illustrates your commitment to accountability in tracking and evaluating the effectiveness of decisions or policies you've contributed to? And as a follow-up, how did that example enhance trust and accountability within the organization or community that was impacted by those decisions or policies?
Thank you for asking that, and thank you, and good to see you all tonight. I would say that my background is personally in nonprofit and organizational management, so this is something that we talk about all the time, particularly in terms of strategic planning, in terms of measurement, goals and objectives, and making sure that you're following up and analyzing and looking at trends and looking at like how systems and processes are doing over time. But since we're in here, I'll talk about what you all have experienced from the Tigard Library Board perspective. So as the Tigard Library Board president, I got the opportunity several years ago during 2020, 2021 to participate in the strategic planning process. And so we worked with the staff, we worked with the public, we worked in 2020, which was its own thing, but we developed a strategic plan in coordination with staff and the community. And then over time, we worked towards making sure that the Tigard Library was achieving those goals. And so you, as council members, might have seen a little bit of it whenever we come to present to the council. You'll actually see references to different elements of the strategic plan, different objectives and actions. And I would say one of the coolest parts was very recently, Amber Bell, who is staff at the library, came and talked about Tigard's next strategic plan for the library. And the great thing about that was our follow-up of seeing, like, oh, we did meet these goals and we did meet these objectives, and this is how things changed over time, and changed particularly because of what was happening in 2020 and the response to 2020 as well. So the only other things that I would particularly add on that is making sure that in any one of those processes, the people who are actually the key stakeholders and the people who are doing the work are participating in that process. So coming back and evaluating and working with them and showing them the results of what happened. So we got to do that when we come back to report to the council as well.
Terrific. Get to ask the next question. Given the current tax burden and responsibilities on Tigard residents, how would you assess the city's fiscal responsibility? What steps would you take to ensure efficient use of existing funds?
That goes right back to a lot of the work that you all have already done. Some of the first things that I would look at is what does the city of Tigard want to accomplish? And we have things like the let's say the comprehensive plan, or looking at the, let's say the vision for Tigard. So the vision for Tigard says, okay, we're looking for a walkable city that's accessible, that's equitable, that's healthy. And I think equitable in that does a lot of work. So if we're talking about what we want the city of Tigard to be like as an equitable community, that means that we're serving business owners while we're also serving the people in this room, while we're also serving moms and dads and kids, and historically marginalized communities right next to people who are walking into the library. And so I think when I look at the city of Tigard and I think about the work of the city of Tigard, I always come back to thinking about how we are functioning in terms of our bigger vision and where we want to go, and how we'll get back to that with good programs and good processes and things that support that as well. And
All right.
I'm going to ask, could you repeat the rest of the question too, in case I missed anything?
Certainly. It was, what steps would you take to ensure efficient use of existing funds?
Oh, so now we got to start the timer again. I'm going to mess up your timing system. But the only other thing that I would add in terms of ensuring the best use of efficient use of funds is the follow-up on different programs and different services, and making sure that we're clearly reviewing the things that we're working towards. So we can set those that good vision and that good path, but we have to come back and look at our goals and look at our objectives and make sure that we're actually meeting them with responsible management of programs.
All right, I have the next question. Tiger and the surrounding region have grown significantly, while transportation infrastructure has not kept pace. What strategy would you pursue to improve mobility and reduce congestions for all road users?
So one of the first things I would do is, of course, talk to our subject matter experts and talk to the committees that we already have, and looking towards the committees and support that we have. The next step is usually looking at infrastructure. So what infrastructure do we already have in place? What do we need to put further support and further money behind? I'm not a big fan of new projects unless they actually are serving specific community needs. So if we're looking at the best way to make transportation and infrastructure improvements, that means looking at what we have and how we might use it more efficiently and effectively. And I think a great example of this actually in terms of transportation is just going down on Hall and you go to take a right, and you're gonna go on to 99, and now there's that turning signal that says, don't go right. And so that idea of we're checking on making sure that the safety of that intersection, that it's more safe and that it's a better transportation infrastructure. But it was just a small little thing of putting up that signal that lets us know, don't turn right because somebody else might do a U-turn and there might be a collision. So when I'm thinking about transportation, I was talking about infrastructure, but it's also safety and it's also congestion. And obviously, you all have, I would say, enjoyed and dealt a lot with the Hall project, the 217 project. I'm sure you hear a lot about those. And when I think about those, we have goals and things that we're trying to achieve in terms of what the city's trying to do. We also have the reality of people coming in and experiencing the traffic projects. And so one of the immediate things that you get as a city council member, I'm sure, is feedback. And taking that into account and making sure that the projects and the things that we are working on, particularly in terms of where the funding and the spending is going, aligns with our vision for Tigard in the future.
All right. Question number 4. How do you understand the role and responsibilities of a council member? And what abilities do you bring that will help you fulfill those role or responsibilities effectively?
Thank you. And I would say that as a council member, I am delighted to talk to you all about your own jobs. So in terms of what you do and what the expectation of a council member is, the council is, responsible on a larger level for things like the budget, priorities, policies, planning, laws, and some things in terms of fees and regulatory practices. And so when I think about what a council member should do and can do, in some ways there is a lot, right? You can set the priorities, you can set the vision, you can think about what we want Tigard to look like in the future. But then the toolkit for that is actually limited in terms of what we really can do. And so taking advantage of the time that we have and the things that we actually have under our control. So thinking about the budget, which I always see a budget as it tells its own story, right? So when we see the budget for 2025, we see the budget for 2026. It should reflect where Tigard is going in the future and where we want to invest our money and what we want to put our money into. The only other piece of background I would add about budgeting in particular is, as a nonprofit executive director, we work in budgets, but we also work in reality. And so you set your budgets, but then you also have to adapt and look at what the landscape actually looks like. So that's something that definitely comes back to the city council in terms of budgetary spending and what's the best use of the money and the taxpayers' money and goals for the future. So the last big thing I would add is the big things, like that setting the priorities, the vision of what you want Tigard to look like. A lot of that leadership responsibility falls on the council and on the mayor.
Thank you. City Council meets every Tuesday evening for council meetings and lasts anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. Additionally, each councilor is responsible for liaison assignments to boards and committees, as well as asked to attend community events. If appointed to City Council, share with us how you navigate these added responsibilities to your schedule.
Gotcha, with pleasure. First, I would have to have a discussion with Counselor Slack if I could still do the Tigard Library Board liaison. But beyond that, I think that, that's just adapting my schedule. So my husband would get the joy of bringing my kid Rowan to soccer practice. He plays indoor, and he also plays outdoor during the not indoor season. So we'd have some of those discussions, and then I'd also just do some shifting of some board meetings that I also have. As one of my larger responsibilities is I'm the president of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, and so we have a monthly board meeting, and then I also sit on the board for Willamette Writers as well. What I've seen with each of those is it's just a discussion and a negotiation of timing and scheduling. I personally enjoy board meetings. I'm one of those people, sorry, because I like the idea of how we can all work together and how we can solve some of our problems. So that does become a priority for me, of being in the meetings and making sure that I'm attending and providing the support that's needed too. So.
Describe how you would advocate for a policy, position, or program when your perspective differs from the majority. How would you collaborate and navigate conflicts? Share an example from your experience and what the impact was of that situation to others.
I think you have the word that I would use right in there, collaborate. I think one of the biggest things in terms of, if we take a board meeting as an example, or a meeting of people, a lot of the work of when you get to a point of disagreement has already happened way before that disagreement happened. So on several of the boards that I'm on, if we get to the point where we're disagreeing on something, like, we're not mad at each other. Like, we understand where people are coming from. And so one of those first things that I would do is, like, if I hadn't done the research, I would want to do the research or talk to someone or find more to support the position that I'm on or the position that I'm in. And a lot of that would also come from discussion with the rest of the council or with the rest of the board that I'm on. And that just gives you a chance to see that, to acknowledge that you're not always the subject matter expert. Like, I don't walk in the room and go, oh, I know everything about this. So I would first do the research. If I'm in the moment, I would ask for clarification and support or a little bit more detail. And then we would find that point of cooperation. I would hope that my position is supported by good policy or supported by some research-based practice. So in the real world, right? I was in a board meeting probably 3 or 4 months ago, and we were talking about starting a new committee, which is everybody's favorite and least favorite thing. And the way that we defined if it was going to be a committee or a subcommittee would really, or if it was going to be on the team, on the programming side, would really determine who was in charge of it and would change the organizational structure of the organization. So that did become a big point of discussion in terms of, do we call it a committee? Do we call it a team? And that type of thing, it can be really important. And yeah, so that was just an example.
Okay, Kate. What is your position on addressing homelessness in Tigard? What approaches do you support for balancing compassionate services with public safety and the expectations of our community?
And thank you for asking. And this is obviously an issue that we have to discuss and we have to talk about, and we're not going to have easy fixes, especially in 2 minutes. What I would say are some of the things that I would look at and some of the things that I would talk about and have thought about and have had discussions around. And, one of the first things that the city is doing is partnerships. So partnerships with outside organizations, partnerships with social services. And so making sure that people who are experiencing houselessness have the resources and support that they need, but also that the city has those subject matter experts that I was talking about. We become subject matter experts as we learn and navigate different issues, but for the city as they're as we're learning more about problems, we go to people who know the most about them. And so that immediately brought me to talking about working with outside partners. The city's worked with Just Compassion, Tigard Promise. So some of the some of the organizations that are already supporting, but then also regionally and with the county as well. And then obviously you pointed towards public safety, and so working with our public safety officers and social services organizations. So I pointed toward a lot of possible different pathways, and I don't think there's one clear solve, because we've seen that since the time, place, manner discussion started, that there's not an easy solution here, and if there was an easy solution, we would have already solved it. But this is one of those discussions like Councilor Robbins was mentioning of we're going to have a lot of disagreements. But I think everyone is coming from the perspective of like, how do we help our community? Like, and what's the way to do that that actually is community focused and people focused and also backed by research.
All right, Kate, I have the last question for you. What are your top funding priorities for the city, and how would you advocate for them? How would you like to see us spending taxpayer money?
That's a great question. So my funding priorities, besides giving all the money to the library, just kidding, but I do love libraries, obviously. So when we think about funding for the city, what I immediately look towards is, since we're looking at such a limited revenue stream, like realistically, we're not dealing with a lot of money coming in. We're dealing with caps. And as we've talked about in the council applications, we talked about Measure 5 and Measure 50, so I won't be redundant there. But if there's a limit on the amount of money that we can spend, I'm immediately looking towards infrastructure and immediately looking towards programs and services. So when we talk about infrastructure, looking at the key projects that really need to happen, there's obviously a big interest in development, and planning and development is a core piece of like any solution here, right? Or any budgetary, any budget. And so a lot of that work has already been laid out in the 2040 and in the comprehensive plan. So we're looking towards what does the city look like already. So I would look towards those bigger plans to then make those smaller decisions. So if we're talking about Tiger Triangle, which we are right now. So the city's in that point of sending out surveys, talking to people, trying to find out like what makes the most sense for the former cinema location, for example. So my priority there was similar to like the priority as I was filling out the survey, right? So I'm filling out the survey and I'm going, okay, I want something that meets the community needs, but also thinks about that particular place. So with any discussion of budget, it has to be place-based and people-based. So in terms of my priorities are directly related to the community and the part of the community that we're looking at serving at that time and in that, with those budgets.
Well, thank you so much, Kate. And that's the conclusion of your interview and all the interviews. So please, you can hang tight, and the council will take a break, and before we start our deliberation. So, Councilor, I'm thinking about 10 minutes. Is that enough? All right. So now it is 7:45. So we will reconvene at 7:55. Reconvene our meeting after a brief recess. So I just want to start by thanking all four finalists for your time, your thoughtful answer tonight, and most importantly, your commitment to Tiger. Applying for council vacancy is no small undertaking, as you know. Each of you brought a unique perspective, a genuine desire to serve, and a real sense of what makes this community special. So thank you very much. And I just want to take a brief moment to recognize each of you for Al Haddadi. Al brings an engineer's problem-solving mindset and more than 17 years of technical and leadership experience. He serves as the vice chair of the Committee for Community Engagement and has helped advance culture belonging work across the city. Tom Anderson. Tom has lived in Tiger for 19 years and brings extensive public service on the City Council and the Tiger Planning Commission. He also has 25 years of experience as a real estate broker and giving him experience with local business needs. Gabe Velasquez. Gabe is a longtime Tiger resident, a lifelong Tiger resident, and he has served on the Town Center Advisory Commission, chairing many meetings, and contributed to the TIF Grant Review Board and Safe Street Task Force. He brings a lived experience with housing affordability and a strong commitment to keeping Tiger accessible for all. And we have Kate Ristow. Kate has lived in Tiger since 2027 and has served on the library board since 2017, including several years as the board chair. She's the executive director of the Welama Writers and president of a global nonprofit with substantial experience in budgeting, strategic planning, staff leadership, and organizational management. So her applicant material demonstrated readiness to serve immediately and a clear practical vision for strengthening city governance. Again, like I mentioned before, I will ask each council member to briefly identify their top candidate, and if you want, you can explain why, and if you cannot make up your mind, please at least identify the top two. But for me, my top two choices after reading the application material and going through interview will be Kate and Gabe. Both of them have demonstrated their eagerness and ready to serve our community, and based on both their application material and their interview, it showed that they are a good communicator. They have identified clear practical vision, and also demonstrate long-term service to Tiger. But if I were to pick one person, I will pick Kate, just because based on her qualification, community service and leadership experience, and she stands out to me as the strongest candidate. So I will start down the line with Councilor Gudusi. If you don't mind, identify your strongest candidate, or if you want to share two, that will be fine. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to prioritize that sort of systemic thinking, especially given that passion does have its place, but I think that's more of the election, and in order to hold us down for the next year, I basically broke down the questions, and the two that ended up on top with even scores ended up being Al and Tom, so the exact opposite of you. So we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so it's Al and Tom. Okay, Councilor Schlack. No, you don't have to. Well, if you want to identify your top, that's fine, but you don't have to at this point. Same score, okay, so both are equal, okay. Councilor Schlack?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to thank all our applicants tonight for their interest in serving our community on the City Council. It was wonderful to see you all tonight, some of you for the first time, and hear about your intentions should you be appointed to the City Council. Regardless of the Council's decision, please continue to serve and contribute to the success of our community. When we started the appointment process, I said the Council is accountable to the voters for its decisions, including appointments. I take this responsibility seriously on behalf of my constituents and have thought hard about the qualities that I want and that I think many constituents want their next city councilor to have, especially based on based on recent events. In particular, I'm looking for someone who I think will bring a fresh point of view, who wants to be a policymaker, who leads by example, who will work to get the essentials right, and who has grit. For those reasons, my top choice is Kate Risteau, and my second choice is Gabriel Velasquez. In particular, I'd like to highlight that Kate has executive experience as a nonprofit executive director, governing body experience as the president of the board of directors of a national nonprofit, and policy-making experience as the longtime chair of the Tigard Library Board. She also has experience leading organizational change and improving organizational culture in those roles, which would greatly benefit the council as it moves past the distressing events from this year. I also really value Kate's experience on the library board, especially as the council grapples with the changes to WCCLS funding and governance for years to come. I think that'll be really valuable because the library is a core service of this city. I don't expect Kate and I, or Gabe and I for that matter, to agree on everything, but I believe both would be active, engaged, contributing council members who will help build the future that Tigard residents need. So those are my two choices for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. And I am probably similar to Councilor Gaddusi that first I want to thank the four and the passion and the interest and the seriousness. I really appreciated in the questions, have you really thought about this? And I had that conversation with my employer, or I had that conversation with my partner or spouse because it is a lot of time. And if you're engaged, you're engaged. and I think we have some amazing individuals who want this position. And I, too, want to see the voters chime in on that, on who is our future counselor. Having said that, I'm only putting forward one name, and that is Tom Anderson. What struck me about Tom is I'm interested about the CET, looking for innovative, unique local ways that now have clearly spread across many communities. And I am very focused on the bond, spent a lot of energy and effort and cared deeply about that and appreciated that recognition as a critical priority and just his interest in serving in that capacity for us over the next year. So thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to recognize for all those who applied. It's not easy, and having recently been in a similar situation of answering questions, it can be a bit nerve-wracking too. So I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you very much. This is a very difficult decision. The applicants were strong. I too was looking for seriousness, eagerness, passion, those who are interested in policy and moving policy forward. I do recognize that there was one candidate who did mention the bond, and in addition, several other candidates mentioned several of the current projects that the city has before it and will have moving into 2026. With that, I have two candidates, the first being Kate, and the second candidate I had, actually, I'm now withdrawing, so I'm going to have just one candidate, and that is Kate.
Thank you. Councilor Robbins.
Thank you. Thank you. I get to go last. I just want to acknowledge that this is a hard job and much harder than I expected when I got this job, from the time commitment, the learning curve, learning about a lot of different things, and also the emotional commitment of, wrestling with some hard decisions and hearing about a lot of issues that people bring up, and maybe you can't solve all those issues, and it does kind of keep you awake at night. So I'm very impressed with everyone's willingness to put their names forward for this and be willing to sacrifice a lot of time and energy to help the city move forward. So I want to thank everyone for applying. I'm torn in my choice. On the one hand, I am considering Tom Anderson. From what I understand, he's can jump right in, have very little learning curve, bring a little bit of a different perspective and also some experience. And from what I understand, he's doesn't want to run in November, so that would mean we aren't picking an incumbent to give that person an advantage in November. I also really appreciate that he said his number one funding priority was the bond, because that is our number one priority, is to get that bond passed. My other choice is Gabe Velasquez. He's run before. He's committed to the position. He wants this position and has worked hard. He had some solid ideas when he was talking about what he would do as far as traffic. And so I think he would bring a good young perspective with a different background, not someone who's kind of settled more in their career. So I do appreciate that. So those are my two choices. I'm going to put them equally.
Thank you. So let's see, we have 3 Kate, 3 Tom, and those are the 2, and 2 Gabes and 1 L. So we have Tom and Kate both tied at 3 each at number 1 choice. Do we have any further discussion? Anybody? Councilor Schlack, go ahead.
One thing I just want to clarify, since Councilor Robbins brought up mentioning that Mr. Anderson, she believes, doesn't want to run again. I didn't pick that up in the application or in the interview process. I know one of the references mentioned it, but I haven't heard that. So I just want to clarify that. Or, I've watched some other appointment processes, like for the Clackamas County vacancy. If we want to ask candidates to come up and state what their intention would be, I'd be open to that as well if the council was willing.
Would you want that to ask all the candidate if they intend to seek election in November?
Sure. I would.
You would?
All 4.
4. So let's start with Tom. Would you please come forward to do you intend to, if appointed, do you intend to seek election next November?
No, I was just interested in this as a bridge type of deal for you guys, but not interested in November.
Thank you. Next person, Al. Yeah, please. I want to get all the candidates. So if you were appointed, would you be interested in seeking election next November?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, okay. Thank you. Gabe. Oh, okay, you can come first.
Oh, you said Gabe.
It's okay, sorry.
That's so much in Dave as well. That's okay.
Same question. If you were appointed, do you intend to seek election next November?
To be honest, I don't fully know yet. I haven't had the job yet, but there's a good likelihood I will, yes.
Okay, thank you. And Kate?
Yes, I would consider running again, but it would also heavily depend on the experience and the position.
Okay.
So I can't give that a clear yes or
All
no,
right.
but probably yes.
Thank you. So now we still have 3 to 3. Anybody else want? So we can go, if there's nobody changing their mind, I can go on to round 2, ranked choice.
Did I miscount? I counted a 3-way tie.
Oh, who else?
With Gabe also having
Gabe
3.
too?
That was my count.
Well, Gabe is not my number 2 choice.
Oh, we're just going off of that? I was
just-
just going off
yeah.
of total votes, excuse me.
Okay. So should we go into round 2 since ranked choice? Okay, so councilors, please. Yeah, please, Councilor Robin.
I have a little issue with saying that we're picking 2 people and they're ranked equally versus 2 people, one's a first choice and one's a second choice, because you either have to just pick the people you like and they each get 1 point, or we all have to rank, because otherwise it doesn't, we're just thinking in our head a little bit differently about things. And so I think it should really be either everyone gets 1 point and whoever got the many points, we count them up, rather than a first choice and a second choice, because Gabe did get 1, 2, 3 votes, and if, and it was like, well, maybe a little bit less, or it was equal, and then Counselor Gaducy and I didn't rank, we picked two that were the same, so.
I do think that if we just do the ranked voice, regardless of first
Yeah.
or second, that'll
The-
take care of it.
Yeah, the first round is just taking temperatures.
Yeah,
So
but-
we'll disregard all the result from round one. The point from round two, we'll only count points from round two. We won't add that to round one.
Are we ranking everyone?
Yes, so please rank the top three. So please write down your number one, number two, number three, and then we will go through the worksheet. So I'll give you everybody 5 minutes. Has finished their ranking. So we have a tally table. So everybody who has them can follow along, including our deputy city recorder. You can keep us honest. All right, so I will go first. So my number one is Kate, number two is Gabe, and number three is Tom. So Councilperson Wolf, who is your number one?
Tom Anderson is, sorry, Tom Anderson is 1, Kate is 2, and Gabe is 3.
Gabe is 3. Councilor Gaducy.
Primarily given that Tom doesn't intend to run again and have that incumbent leg up, Tom Anderson's 1, Ali Hadidi's 2, and Kate's 3.
Councilor Robbins. Kate.
Number 1 is Tom Anderson, number 2 is Gabe Velasquez, and number 3 is Haddadi.
Councilor Schlack.
Top choice.
Number 1.
There we go. First choice, Kate Ristow. Second choice, Gabe Velasquez. Third choice, Al Hadidi.
Councilor Shaw.
First choice would be Kate, second choice Tom, third Gabe.
All right, give us a moment to tally up the points. It may take a while. Deputy City Recorder, can you tell us what your results are? We all have them, so.
I have 12 points for Tom Anderson, 4 points for Ali Hadidi, 12 points for Kate Rissau, and 8 points for Gabriel Velasquez.
Does everybody have the same? All right. So we have, for ranked choice, we have tie for Tom Anderson and Kate. We can do rank choice again, just with the first two, or no? So we have 3 to, so, yeah, so we have tie.
So we could do ranked choice again, taking out.
The two,
Well, but there's 3, if we go off of what everyone just voted, half of us have ranked Tom first and half of us have ranked Kate first. So I think, I mean, ultimately someone's going to have to give, or we're going to have to determine who,
Well,
are we
two-
willing to work with? I mean, it sort of comes down to who are we willing to do business with, right? That's kind of what it comes down for each of us to decide.
Well, but, so yes, 3 of us ranked one first and 3 of us ranked the other first, but then the second place rankings is where things differ. And so we could either do a, well, I guess that
we
doesn't
will
work.
always rank the other person second, so it's gonna be tie again. So,
Did we have any questions that we didn't ask that we could ask the next two?
anybody else will have any questions? Go ahead, Councilor Shah.
No, I was just wondering if we had any additional questions, either from the community or amongst ourselves that didn't get asked, that we would like to ask our top 2 candidates.
Is Nicole here? No? All right.
If I recall correctly, we got all the questions and all the topics at least were covered.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know if it makes sense for whoever's not answering to step outside, but, I know that the first question was, why do you want to do this, right? But I mean, why do you want to do this? I mean, at a deeper level of why is this in your heart, your soul, your mind? What have you seen that council's done well? What would you challenge? And I think that kind of honest conversation about the state of council, I would like to hear recommendation. And now I'm just kind of brainstorming, but I think there's an authentic opportunity to hear from both of you about what you think and reflect and go deeper than the questions we provided. Now, if you two would like a few minutes to reflect on that, I respect that too. But I also want to honor each other's answers, so I would like whoever doesn't go first to step outside. So that's my thought. So.
All right. Counselor, do you have it? Would you like the 2 candidates to step out and while we discuss more questions, or is that one question enough for you?
No, I think that one question would be fine.
Okay, so do we still have their name? Yeah, or so, okay. Right. Now, let's go reverse order. We'll have Kate go first. So Tom, would you please wait outside? And Mr. Wu, would you please put the 2-minute timer? Or would you mind?
Yeah.
No?
No, I don't think.
Okay, that we don't need a timer, so.
Maybe it's 5 is maybe too long, but
Yeah.
2, because you're going to be thinking probably 4. What the heck?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Kate, just, can you repeat the question again, Council President Wolf?
So I think what I'm really looking for, what's in your heart and mind? What's your assessment of where we are right now? And given that this really is about the year, right? I'm really focused on 26. What's your thinking? But just kind of an honest assessment, Kate, and which circles back to why do you want to do this? So.
And thank you for asking, because I'm sure you all know that as I'm sitting there, we're going through all the things that we didn't talk about, right? And so obviously the bond, education, the public safety levy, the library levy, all these great things that have been happening over the last year. And for me in particular, I grew up in Illinois on a farm. I have brothers and sisters, and my mom really kind of put into us that idea of service. So I am in nonprofits because I believe in the arts and I believe in supporting education and those services as well. So those are things that are really important and really matter to me. And my husband can probably attest to that because I'm constantly volunteering for things. When I originally volunteered for the library and then over time became the chair. I volunteered for the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association since 2020 and was producing the Nebula Awards for them. And then before I served as executive director for Willamette Writers, I was volunteering. And so that volunteering and building up the community and supporting the community is really important to me. And that is 100% the main reason I'm running is because I'm like a big believer in like giving back and supporting and doing what you can do. So for me, my personal skill set is like nonprofit and organizational management. And so with a lot of the current transition, which we have talked honestly about and seen, I stepped into the science fiction and fantasy writers during a period of transition. Actually, the staff had all stepped away and the president had stepped down, and that's public knowledge. And then there's also the private discussions about how does the organization work and how does the organization function. So coming in now and talking with the city about being on the city council is coming out of that service approach and that service philosophy. So I think it's something that really like deeply matters to me. The only other things I would add that I haven't said is it also is really a joy to be able to give back and to see things getting better. So for the science fiction and fantasy writers, like seeing the organization moving in a better direction, like that's for me really fulfilling as well. So there's both the service aspect and just the organizational, like the structural fixes that like sometimes come from stuff like budgeting, but also come from like leadership and how you're moving the organization. So.
Thank you. Would you please get Tom and switch place with him? Round 2.
Did you flip a coin?
Yeah. And Council President Wolf, would you please repeat your question?
So the trick is if I say it exactly the same way. So Tom, I'm really just, and I know in the application it was about your why, but to go a little bit deeper to reflect kind of your assessment of the state of council, or what have you appreciated? What would you want to change? I mean, I feel like this is kind of an open-ended question on maybe some thoughts or ideas you've had that weren't directly addressed through the questions. So.
Okay. Well, a little history about me. So I served for 4 years, and then I ran for Metro, right? So Metro Council. And wasn't my first choice. I think I would have, if I would have ran for reelection right after I was councilor, I probably would have made it. You never know with elections, but probably. But at that time, Councilor Dirksen, which was former Mayor Dirksen, was leaving Metro. He wanted somebody with a, to represent Tigard in East Washington County. And I know quite a bit about the urban growth boundary. That was a hot topic at the time. So I ran. It was a very close election. I won Washington County, where I'm well-known. And my opponent won Multnomah County. It was very close. It took a couple weeks to decide. And so I lost that. Still felt like I wanted to serve again. The last appointment I stayed out of. This one is a year, and it felt better that I would just do 1 year, help out. I don't know if you know your reputation, but right now the city council is seen as a bit of a mess, a little chaos here. And some supporters have said, you should run. You would be a good calming influence for them, and you could, for a year, help them. And that's basically why I'm here. I'm busy enough, literally I could go either way, but I do think I could help.
All right, thank you.
Yeah? Get Kate?
Yeah, please ask Kate to come in. All right, I will start with this end this time. Councilor Robbins, have you heard anything that made you change your mind?
No.
No? Okay. That's very decisive. Councilor Shaw?
Not sure yet. Can I get a minute?
Yeah, all right, Council President Wolf.
So thank you both. This round I'm going to stay with Tom, but I am going to say for the record, Tom, I think we're doing okay. But I appreciate your honesty. No, I appreciate the honesty.
Can you use your mic?
I guess I was a little too quick. I agree. We're not a mess. Maybe it kind of looks like that, but we get along. We're working well. The city's functioning. The city is working, and things are getting done. Yes, we had some turmoil. We had someone resign. We are looking for an interim city manager, but things are getting done, and I'm happy with the work that we've done together.
Thank you. Councilor Schlack.
Thank you both for giving your whys. I just want to say that, I haven't changed my mind. I found Kate's why resonated with me a little bit more, talking about sort of more of what she wants to do for the community and why she wants to be involved. I respect Tom's service, and he's endorsed by a lot of people that I admire and respect as well. But as one of the decision makers, I'm still with Kate Ristow.
Councilor Glutusi. Nope. Still Tom. Okay. Councilor Shaw. Tough.
Yeah, I think you're both terrific candidates. It doesn't sit well with me that I think, and Tom, I appreciate your point of view. I think if there are others out there who think there's chaos, we'd certainly love to hear from them and solutions they would provide. Your coming back could help with removing chaos. Kate could also, being appointed, could help with removing what could be seen as chaos. I'm quite torn, but I think I'm going to have to, at this point, I just don't know.
Go ahead,
just need a
Councilor
couple more
Glutusi.
minutes.
Yeah, it's fine. We can take a break.
I guess I'm just a little taken aback by, you could take it either way and calling it a chaos. I appreciate your background, appreciate you served 4 years, appreciate your honesty about the vote, but I think there's a number of us up here who've worked very, very hard to ensure that the city of Tigard has been moving smoothly from a budget perspective, from a livability perspective. And so I was just a little taken aback about that. So I just need a few minutes.
Councillor Gudusi.
In order to keep from going back and forth, and this is the reason why we have an odd number usually, what we can do is address it the same way Portland City Council did during their selection process, and to a certain extent just remove the bottom and then redo our top three. So we would remove Ali Hadidi from the options. We would all redo the top three and then go from there and see if that changes the numbers, because it likely would.
You mean from what we just did and then just allocate points from Ali to, that's too complicated for me.
So we redo ranked choice, you remove the bottom choice.
I think you're just going to.
You won't.
I'm not sure. I think it's too easy to.
I think we need to have sort of an honest conversation, not just about the positives of the two candidates before us, but really what the reservations are about the other candidate, because I think that's really what I'm not understanding here from my perspective. Really, the only concern I've heard expressed in support of Tom in particular is, aside from his service, that he doesn't intend to run again in 1 year's time, and sort of just punting this political appointment decision to the voters to decide in November. That may be an unfair assessment, but that's more or less what I've heard from my colleagues. And so while I respect that, I'm curious what their reservations about Kate Ristow are, such that that would be their preference. Is it really just an in principle, we want the voters to decide in November, let's give it to someone who's not going to run again? Or is there an actual genuine concern about Kate Ristow's ability to do the job?
I have absolutely no concern about Kate or Gabe, or they all four have been absolutely phenomenal. So this is just, of the four people, which one I feel would be most appropriate. And really, I've heard time and again that there is a concern that we as a council have made a lot of decisions about elected positions, and to try to reduce that as much as possible, that's what sort of pushed me one way or another. And I'm not, you're all great. You're phenomenal, and I love working with you in the library.
I just want to point out to you that the reason why appointing somebody is because of charter. It's approved by very recently by the voter by over 70 whatever %. So the charter's intent is to entrust council member to appoint at this point for less than a year. So I have a problem with that logic. So I just want to put. But again, the Tiger community elected us, so we are free to make up our mind any way we like. So, Councilor Robin, what do you have an issue? Do you see any concern with Kate? That's Councilor Schlack's.
So respectfully, I kind of disagree with where this conversation is going. I don't think that Councilor Gudusi was saying he was unwilling to appoint someone. And it feels like we're being pushed to change our minds about what our appointment is, and to say that the charter was approved and so we should appoint someone. We're not saying we don't want to appoint someone. So we're saying we've chosen who we want to appoint, and there's a reason why it. To come out and say, why are you not choosing Ms. Ristow is, I think, unacceptable as a question. We're not saying, why are you not choosing Mr. Anderson, and what's your problem, Libby?
Councillor, my expectation is that people who support Kate Ristow would also be able to have the opportunity to explain why they would have concerns about Tom Anderson. I apologize if that's how you took it, but that is not my intention. My intention is to have an honest conversation about what's holding us back from changing our mind, considering that we're tied at 3-all, unless we just want to start having dueling motions back and forth that are tied at 3-all for the next hour.
So
And I apologize for interrupting, but I wanted to clarify that point.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, I do, but to just have two counselors both, or I'm sorry, a counselor and the mayor, to both turn to Counselor Gudusi and say, well, why don't you want to, does feel a little unfair.
And to be fair, that was Councilor Schlack and why his reservation about Tom. Would that be better? would you like to?
No, I mean, I'll just finish what I
Okay.
want to say then.
All right,
I mean, I think we all read all of the applications.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming into this with decisions and our impressions about the applications, how they were filled out, what they said. One of my concerns, I really don't want to say this in the public because I think we don't necessarily have to say everything about why we aren't choosing
Exactly,
someone.
yeah.
But part of it was Ms. Ristow's application said that our biggest problem is essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, how we all get along together, and that if she were appointed, she would interview everyone and look at all of us and try to figure out how we could all work better together. And that's not what we need. We do work well together. We want to bring someone in who can learn how the council works and get the work of the city done. Not go back, and try to have her come in and fix all of us in our relationship. Because right now, this is the most contentious conversation that we've had since I've been on council.
Yeah.
So that, I didn't like that. And I'm sorry, I apologize for saying that in public. It sounds super mean and it's going to be on the record. But that's not the priority for me.
Okay.
I also like the idea that the number one funding priority is the bond. We only have 5 months. And that has to be the number one priority. And of all the candidates, Tom is the only one who brought that up. So those are why I've chosen him. I also do believe, I have heard from a lot of people in public, we've all gotten the written comments and verbal comments that we're all the same politically. We're all very liberal Democrats, blah, blah, whatever it is. I don't mean blah, blah to be disrespectful at all. But we're hearing that some people want someone a little more conservative. And so I'm trying to take that into account.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Schlag, would you like to go next?
Thank you. Yes, I am going back to what I said at the beginning. I really value someone who has a fresh point of view, who wants to be a policymaker, who wants to lead by example and has led by example, who will work to get the essentials right, and who has grit. I believe Tom and Kate both have many of those characteristics, but while I respect the offer to be a bridge, I'm really looking for a partner to help build the future of this community, even if I disagree with them. And I just Kate's responses, her application, her references, her interview tonight resonate more with me in terms of building the future of this community, as opposed to just providing a stopgap for a year. While we just sort of, we've lost a year on this council. Because of council drama, because of city manager drama. I want to move past it, and it is not appealing to me effectively to appoint tonight a lame duck for 1 year just to hold us over. That argument does not resonate with me, and that is what I am hearing from my colleagues who want to pursue that path. I respect their viewpoints, I acknowledge their concerns. At the end of the day, I'm culpable to the voters for my appointment decisions, as we all are, and I would be able to explain to a voter very clearly why I would support Kate Ristow to be on the council. I would be comfortable with justifying that decision to any individual.
Before I go back, would you like Council President Wolf first?
So I'm going to address both because I don't know how else to do this. So Tom, I appreciated the logic behind why you stepped off and ran for Metro, because I don't think that was information in my history box. And so I also appreciate your honesty around just addressing the elephant maybe, or baby elephant sitting in the corner of the room. And I do think this has become an elevated conversation because I think we're all passionate about moving this council forward, doing the right work. And I am really hopeful that we are all working really hard. And to have Tom as part of that and to see that and live that with us, I think is also important as well. Because that gets hopefully shared back out in our community. Like, hey, they're focused, they're doing good work, and they're making things happen. Having said that, Kate, I thought you had an outstanding packet. I think you would be a fantastic counselor. I also think that, Gabe came forward with a very strong application. So while the charter does allow us to do this and appoint, going into a campaign as an incumbent has power. And so while I have that responsibility, I feel like there's an opportunity to create space for great candidates to run excellent campaigns, and then to also have someone serve us in an important capacity for the next 12 months. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that's my logic. So.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, two things. One, I feel that I have to come on record and say I am not a Democrat and I am an independent. I try to avoid partisan politics like the plague. And two, I do think that the appropriate next step would be to redo the ranked choice, removing the lowest vote. So Ali, and then we would do 1, 2, 3 with Tom, Kate, and Gabe. And I think that we would come out with a different outcome.
So Councillor Shah, you made a decision.
Yes, I've made a decision. And actually, I really appreciate Council President Wolf's comment. I too think that having a bridge in this case makes the most sense. I do like the fact that if Tom were to be appointed, he would not be running, so that would give those such as Gabe, maybe Al and Kate, an opportunity to run as non-incumbents, but you each would have the exact same ability to go forth and campaign and see where your election would go. So with that, I am going to go ahead and switch my vote from Kate to Tom.
All right. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Mayor, I move that we appoint Tom Anderson to fulfill the remainder of the city council term until December 31st, 2026.
Would you please read the starting date as well? There's a script.
I move to appoint Tom Anderson as the counselor to fill the remainder of the term from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Councillor Schlack, please.
Just want to take a moment, since we did have a bit of an elevated conversation, to thank everyone for their candor this evening and really think through this process carefully. As I mentioned repeatedly, Kate Ristow is my top choice, but Tom Anderson, who I haven't met before, is someone that a lot of people that I admire and respect have advocated for. He seems like someone I can do business with, and I look forward to working with him.
Thank you. Will the Deputy City Recorder conduct a roll call vote?
Council President Wolf,
Yes.
Councillor Gadusi,
Yes.
Mayor Hu,
Yes.
Councillor Robbins,
Yes.
Councillor Schlack,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
All right, the motion carried. Congratulations, Tom Anderson. You are our next city councilor. All right. I didn't say that on the record, so congratulations, Tom Anderson. You are our next city councilor, and everybody clapped last time, so. Thank you. So before we conclude tonight, I just want to take a moment to sincerely thank all 14 committee members who applied for this council vacancy. Each of you stepped forward because you care deeply about Tiger and you are willing to offer your time, your experience, and your perspective in serving to our city. That level of civic commitment is not something we take for granted, and you reflect the strength of our community. I also want to thank our residents who submitted interview questions and share what matters to them the most. Your participation reminds us that local government works best when our community member is fully engaged, asking hard questions, offering ideas, and helping guide the decisions that shape our future. So what gives me the most hope tonight is not just the quality of the applicants, but the message it sends. Tiger is a place where people are willing to step up, a place where neighbors look out for one another, a place where public service is seen as a responsibility and honor. So anyway, thank you again for all the applicants, and thank you to the entire community. Our city is better because of all of you, so thank you so much. All right, so we don't have any regularly scheduled agenda item this time, but the city council will go into executive session. So with that, I want to wish Tiger a good night. Good night, Tiger.